Hi guys, it's Jeff here, the photographer's mentor. Hope you're coping all right. Hope you've had a decent start to the week. So obviously some massive changes for everybody, not just here in the UK, but across the world. And we're all coping with a lot more pressure financially, emotionally, mentally, and wondering where we're going to go with our business. What should we be doing with our business? How can we be keeping active if we're not getting the clients in? So today I'm teaming up with a lovely lady, Karen from RISE, the Female Photographers Association. And Karen's got a huge, vast wealth of experience in the photography industry. She's an extremely talented photographer, and she runs the Female Photographers Association group as well. So it's a body to help female photographers put their work out there and get themselves noticed. And she's come up with some great ideas as well as myself. So we're going to go through and brainstorm a few things that you should be doing, because you've got to keep that positivity up there. You've got to keep going, because this isn't going to last forever. It could be a short term, it could be 3 months, it could be 4 months, and we should be able to come out of it a more streamlined business, a more focused business, and potentially with a lot less competition, but knowing exactly where we want to go. And when people come to the other side of this, hopefully there should be a real influx and a real boost in business, in generation. People are going to want to get married, crack on with their wedding plans. Restaurants are going to be opening, and customers will want to get down restaurants and start eating. Businesses will want to promote themselves a lot more on social media. So a lot of it is up in the air at the moment, but there's still a lot as photographers we can be doing to work on our business instead of inside the business. So that's a big thing, because as photographers, we tend to work a lot in the business, where we get caught up in the editing and the day-to-day running of the business, and we never get a chance to expand and grow and do all the things that we should really be doing on a weekly basis. So this could be a chance for us to really start pushing the business and doing all the things that's on those to-do lists. So I'm going to bring in Karen now and screen share with Karen. And if you do have any questions, hopefully Karen will be able to see the questions coming up on her news feed, and we can answer a few as we go along. So I'm just going to bring Karen into the stream. Hi Karen, you okay?
Hey Jeff, I'm good, thanks. You?
I'm fine, thanks. And have you got did you manage to get the stream up there? Can you see it?
Yeah, I've managed to get it up on Facebook. I can see that it's all running live. I can't see it on LinkedIn.
Right. So you might just need to refresh.
So I'm looking at that. Just can't see it on there, Jeff. It's not come up. I haven't been notified.
Well, we'll just have to go along, and then obviously if we do get any questions in, if we can't see the questions now, then we can answer the questions after this broadcast. So have you had many members contacting you and reaching out to you over the past weeks, and things have changed massively here in the UK and obviously overseas too?
Yeah, I think members and people from associations generally have just been getting in touch and said, how has it affected you? Have you got any further details more than we've got? And actually, we all know that news is coming in live every day, and we're being updated by government. But yes, so many photographers, as self-employed business owners, so a lot of us don't have studios, so we don't fall into those grants that are currently being offered as self-employed. They're like, what?
Oh, we've just frozen that. So hopefully Karen will come back. It looks like she's just frozen there. But what Karen was saying is a lot of us as photographers, as self-employed people, we come into that place where we don't have premises that is physically had to be closed down. So this can create a problem, whereas we're not going to get subsidy from the government at the moment, but things can change. Hopefully there will be changes towards the self-employed basis. But one thing, I'm just going to remove Karen from the stream and bring her back in. One thing we can be doing as photographers is looking at our current financial outgoings. So where we are financially at the moment, and if there's any tweaks, anything we can actually do to reduce our outgoings. Because I did this actually a couple of months ago, and I realized how much how much was going out on different apps, different pieces of software, stuff like that, and managed to find out that one bit of software I was paying for twice. So I changed that. I also renegotiated my broadband contract. I renegotiated my phone contract, and I also renegotiated my landline and internet as well. You know, so I got a new package, and that saved me probably about £400 or £500 a month. So it's all about trying to reduce your outgoings, reduce your costs down. Maybe, you know, if you have a supplier at the moment, you might be able to negotiate some better terms with your supplier, so you're not having to pay for any stock, any albums or stuff like that up front. You might be able to negotiate a little bit of term where it gives you a little bit more longer to pay for it. But to be honest, I usually find in times like this, unless you're working on a cash flow basis where you're waiting for people to pay you, then it's usually a good idea just to sort of pay for stuff as and when you can. So if you're not getting work in at the moment, if you're not getting a lot of jobs in there, then this is the time when you can be looking at really reconnecting with businesses and reconnecting with your community. And with the community, as photographers, we're able to offer a service that doesn't physically cost us any money. So it just costs us our time. And if you're not actually utilizing your time to be getting out there and doing shoots, it's a good way of building relationships and building up networks within your own personal community. But you need to be trusting with your time. You need to be good and economical with your time. So you don't want to be doing stuff for everybody for free. You want to do stuff for people where you see maybe a possible bit of synergy, where you could be getting something back in return. So if there isn't financial work there, if these people aren't prepared to pay for services, what you could do is you could approach these people where they're going to give something back to you. Now, current one could be like wedding venues. You know, wedding venues are going to be looking for really pushing the winter weddings and the 2021 weddings. And I've seen photographers, and actually heard of a few photographers offering virtual walkthroughs for weddings, wedding venues. So they will actually, you know, maybe do a video as well as accompanied by stills and packages, so the wedding venues can do effectively like a virtual wedding fair, so that they're putting this onto their out there onto their website, so people can see what the wedding venue is going to look like and how amazing it's going to look like for the wedding day. So that's one way you could actually maybe get a bit of synergy going with somebody who serves your ideal client, so that, you know, they're going to remember this, they're going to think about this when it comes, when the bookings start coming in, because you're the one who looked after them, you're the one who approached them. So you've got like wedding venues, you've got bridal shops as well, you know. And then another big thing at the moment is, you know, we still got that freedom of space to a certain extent to get out and leave our homes and be dog walkers. I noticed one of the local pet shops was putting on how it completely sold out of everything. It was so busy over the course of the weekend. So that is a potential avenue at the moment, potentially small avenue at the moment. It could change if the government changes their mind on allowing people out, but where you could get a synergy going with maybe like a local pet shop in return for you doing vouchers for pet portraits. And you can be doing vouchers for pet portraits actually out in a local park or out in people's gardens or in people's fields, as long as you're keeping that distance, as long as you're keeping that social distancing. And obviously it's a lot easier with dogs and animals, because you're not, you know, if you're touching the dog, it's not getting transmitted by the animal. So that is something you can do. I also have another member of the Awesome Photographers group, another one of my clients, who is working with gyms. So using this time to get into gyms and do videos of gyms, so that gyms can be showing their full facilities, their equipment. And a lot of gyms as well have started doing their own videos and their own classes. So doing their online fitness classes and stuff from an empty gym, but is getting streamed out towards their members. So that's something that that you can look at doing, you know, getting out there and getting into particular businesses that might be able to benefit from your services and might be within your particular niche, but they're going to remember you. They're going to remember you when things change and when things start to improve. And so I think, yes, you might have to do small introductory packages, small cut price packages, and you might be doing stuff for free as well. But if you're going to do stuff for free, then make sure the stuff that you do for free is of benefit to you. So it's going to either add weight and authority to your portfolio, or if it doesn't add weight and authority to your portfolio, it's going to generate a possible synergy between you and the person that you're doing that work for at a future date. You know, so when they eventually come back, then and when this is all passed and moved on, then hopefully, you know, you've got that relationship, you've cemented that relationship, and you've created that relationship with this other business. Now I'm just going to go and see if I can get Karen back. I'm just going to let's have a look. Oh, and we've got Karen here. Hello, you're back.
Technology at its best, yeah.
I think sometimes a lot of the time with the it's better to be plugged directly into the actual broadband itself as opposed to using by Wi-Fi. Because there's something to do with the screen. Sometimes it slows it down a bit. So I was just talking there how you know, we got to be careful with our time. So we're doing stuff for free. Do it for people that's going to benefit our portfolio for the future, but also in other ways to like create synergy between you and a potential person you're going to be doing work for. You know, so if you're doing something for a wedding venue to help them promote their stuff online, that they, you know, when they start getting inquiries coming in, they're going to be recommending your services because you were the photographer who approached them and you were the photographer who looked after them at times when they were struggling. And I know one of my clients within the Awesome Photographers group, he's currently doing that with gyms. So he's reaching out to gyms because most gyms are empty and closed, and it's a great time for him to get in and work with the gym owners. And he's put some cheaper packages together for some of the bigger gyms, so you know they can use this time to get shots of all their equipment, everything that's in the studio, without the business, without the people and the interruption of people in there.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's important to remember at this time when, you know, we've got, you know, our NHS system have pulled in retired people onto the front line, as we're calling them, and I think it's important for everybody to remember to pull together as a community. And if we do that, then we'll all see this all through. So as far as business goes, like, yeah, offer things for free, be part of that community, be the one that to be seen that's helpful and resourceful, and you're helping others. And there's so many businesses out there that actually we can all work together. We help them, they help us. Mm-hmm. And actually you might as well go along and do it for free at the minute, because what you're going to be doing otherwise, apart from sitting twiddling your thumbs, and people just, it's too easy to moan about, oh, you know, we're self-employed and what can we do, and I've lost money. I mean, this week I've lost nearly £10,000 of business that has cancelled, and you don't actually know if you're going to get that back. I mean, you will at some stage, but in the times of uncertainty, when we come out and we know that actually the economy is going to be the way it is, nobody's got money coming in, and that's big nationals as well. Will you get that job back that you've lost? Maybe not, but actually you've got to look forward to the potential of what you could be getting elsewhere by, you know, sharing goodwill, really. Yeah, and I think, you know, there's also a lot of other things that you might thinking like, oh, I'm going to be needing this for my business. I'm going to be potentially needing this in the future, you know, like designers, website designers. You know, if you can say, well, I tell you what, I'll do a bit of work for you if you do a bit of work for me. So I'll do some photographs, I'll do some personal branding, some shots for you. If you sort of like update my website, or you could, you know, you could do work for maybe a printers and do some personal branding of his premises and his staff and headshots in return for your new business cards and your new brochures. So obviously, you know, it's going to be a very minimal cost to them if they're not in the position to be affording packages, but it's stuff that they're thinking, well, I'm looking at doing this. Why don't I reach out to potential people that I would have been using their business services? You've also got to think of as well, I think there is a lot of businesses that are going to be very busy over the coming months, you know, the next 2, 3, 4 months going forward. And maybe now isn't the appropriate time to do it, but possibly in a month's time, when this is starting to sink in, you know,
they might be needing additional resources. They might also be wanting to publicize what a good job they're actually doing and what it is they do. And I mean, just, some examples is going to be medical and healthcare, food distribution, food businesses. I mean, it's, funny enough, I had a friend who was talking to me at the weekend who says her business has gone through the roof and she does funeral plans and financial planning and wills. So yeah. It's, people, there are certain businesses that are going to be really, really picking up. I heard a lot of children's education sort of businesses are picking up online businesses that do apps for live streaming, webcams, that sort of stuff. That's really picking up as well. So there are businesses that are going to be getting busy. Maybe now is not the time to approach them, but you can be starting to make those connections with people in these particular industries on LinkedIn, so you've got them in your network.
Yeah, definitely. And I also think, Jeff, these are things that we should always be doing anyway, but we get too busy in our day-to-day lives and forget about building these relationships. So all these things that we're talking about, we should actually be carrying forward in our business on a regular basis anyway. I know that I build relationships with my corporate clients and also my wedding clients and the vendors. So I keep in touch with all those people anyway. And actually now more than ever before is a great way to do it. And as you've said, and I've heard you say many a time, become the expert in your industry. So what can you start talking about within your industry and blogging about that is going to benefit everybody? And you can use it again and time again and keep coming back to it. I hear you say that quite a lot, actually. Become the expert in your industry. And that doesn't mean say, make sure you're taking the best images. It means making sure your ears to the ground and making sure that everyone in your industry knows who you are, really. Yeah.
And I think, that you can do that without, it's funny how many people have said to me, like, everywhere I turn, I keep seeing Jeff here, there, and everywhere on different stuff, and it's just because I put myself out there. But I'm not putting myself out there just to sort of like to try and make money. It's to try and help people across different platforms. Yeah. Do different speaking events, do different lives with people, and I might not be the best mentor in the world, but I might be one of the ones who are getting probably a lot more visual exposure than any, because I'm going to be trying to put this stuff out there. So you don't have to be the best photographer in the world to be the go-to person in your niche. You just have to be the most approachable and the one that's the most seen, So I think that's what it's all about. It's about getting yourself out there, helping others, and people in the end always like to do business with people they know, like, and trust. To be known, like, and trust, you've got to get out there, haven't you? And you got to put a bit of your personality out there and be seen.
Definitely, without a doubt. And you want to be that person who's at the forefront. So when a venue or a nursery or clients that are looking to promote a photographer in their area or somebody that they do trust, you want to be their first thought on their mind. Or, we'll go to Jeff or we'll go to Karen or whoever it is. You want to be that person. You? And it is building that trust, and that trust comes from over a long period of time. You can't just all of a sudden go out now and expect to have that trust, but you can certainly now start to build. If these are things that you haven't done in the past, it's certainly a good time now to start building those relationships. And going out in your own community and in your own hometown to all those businesses that have closed, they'll want to hear from you as much as you want to hear from them. And I think people have this fear and this mental block that they don't want to be seen as being a failure. And actually sometimes I think people asking for help from others, they see that as a bit of a failure, really. And actually what it is doing is just building that trusting relationship.
Yeah, and I think at times like this is a bit of a self-leveler, because you're not a failure because everybody else is in the same position. Everybody else is in the same boat. Everybody has, even big, huge, airlines, hotel chains, they have the potential of going under in some of them in a couple of weeks. So it's, nobody is sort of, this sort of situation is bringing everybody into the same boat, whether they're big companies, the small companies, individuals or hundreds of people, where everyone has that underlying concern, and we can be there for each other, we can talk to each other, help each other out, and you'll be the one who's remembered if you go out and put yourself out there. And I think I've had a couple of conversations today with photographers on board my program who's been talking about, Jeff, should I still really be posting to LinkedIn? Is it really worth it? Like, now more than ever, because first of all, I think there's going to be less people posting on social media as in a professional capacity as photographers, because maybe they're not putting the fresh work out there because they haven't got as much work as they had maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. So the news feeds are going to become slightly more sparse, so it gets you a better chance of getting seen out there. But remember, as photographers, we've got the gift to lift people's emotions up just with an image. And also, quite often, every image that we take, we have a story, and I think it's essential to tell that story with the image. And you'll be the one who'll be remembered as the one who's constantly putting stuff out there, keeping people. You're going to be front of mind. You're not potentially trying to sell. We're not trying to sell and ram our services down people's throats, but trying to be seen and be forefront. And that's what is going to help you become the go-to photographer, because people will see you and will recognize you and will know that you're there.
Definitely. I think it's not about promoting ourselves, as you say, with the images that we've done this week. It's about promoting those around us. So tell me, Jeff, in this time, how do you think go about when people are coming off the streets? We're going into lockdown, no doubt, within a couple of days in this country, and I know a lot of countries are already in lockdown. How do we actually go about finding those clients to collaborate with? What would you say is the easiest way to go about finding those clients?
I think one of the big things is to potentially look on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is a really good way to do it. So use LinkedIn to search for particular people who already source or work with the client that you want to work with. So obviously, if you're a wedding photographer, you probably want to be looking at event planners, wedding event planners, premier wedding hotel venues. So you want to get in with like general managers, stuff like that, or the wedding team at that particular venue. So look at people who already serve your ideal client. Maybe you could be a headshot photographer who deals purely with, I don't know, like IT industry or something like that, or gyms, right? Every particular niche tends to have people that serve that niche or specialize with that niche. Now, I know a guy who's a website designer, and he designs websites purely for gyms. That is his niche. So if I was a sporting photographer or a photographer dealing in sports and athletes and gyms and stuff like that, then that is the type of person I would be looking at, searching out and trying to build a relationship with, because he already serves the gyms that I want to probably be doing photographs of either now or in 3 or 4 months' time as paid jobs when the gyms reopen again and people are wanting to get memberships through the doors. So I think try and think about who your ideal client is. Get it down to a niche. You don't just say anybody wanting a photograph, and who else serves that. Then also don't be too proud not to sort of like step outside your niche and do other jobs of anything else. So if you've been a headshot photographer for the past 20 years and that's all you've done, but you think there's a potential for you to do some with a local pet shop, get vouchers out there to do some pet photography over the next coming months, and you're only going to get 100 quid a shoot. Well, it's cash flow, isn't it? Because it comes down to, you're going to need cash in the bank unless the government's going to stand up and start supporting the self-employed people. So, I think it's about building relationship, grabbing any particular opportunity, doing stuff that's going to add to your portfolio and going to create a bit of authority for you on your portfolio. So if you're doing it for like a bigger corporation, a bigger company or a leader in that particular industry, that people are going to recognize as well. But don't just sit twiddling your thumbs thinking, what am I going to do? This is it, because there's so much more. I mean, we just talked about the photography side. There's so much other stuff like building your brand, deciding to go for a brand overhaul and a bit of redesign, SEO on your website, blog writing. There's so many different things you can be doing on a daily basis that you probably haven't even had time to do for the past 6 months or a year.
Yeah, I mean, scheduling all this content, you know, that you create your content now and schedule it for when you are going to be busy in 4 or 6 months' time when this is over. Well, hopefully it's over, and you're not going to have time to concentrate on it then. So actually, we should all be doing our business plans for 12 months, 3 years, 5 years. But in reality, how many people do that? So if you haven't done it, actually drill that down. Just going back to your question about when I asked, how do you find these people? So if I was to go on LinkedIn now and think, right, you know, I need to look at, take weddings, I need to look maybe at vendors in my local area. How am I going to find? Am I finding those by hashtag? And obviously, I'm presuming everyone knows what a hashtag is, but some people don't. But is that the best way to find them, or do you think you should kind of go through?
What I personally do is go through the search. So go to the LinkedIn search bar, and then obviously you could type in. You could think about a job title. The job title is usually one of the best forms to do. So in that case, you're probably looking at a wedding event planner or wedding coordinator. And then when you put that in, it will bring up a whole search of wedding coordinators, and then you can narrow that down. So you can say wedding coordinators in London who are second connections on LinkedIn. So your first connections are people who are already connected with you, but you don't want to search them. You want to search your second connections, which are people who aren't connected with you, because you have your second and your third connections. What you could do, like say for instance, you worked in the hospitality trade as a food photographer. There's still venues that you can get into to do photographs of, even though the restaurants and hotels may be shut down. You can still be doing some portfolio building work. What you would think is like, right, so who's going to make the decisions within a big hotel, or or a holiday park or somewhere like that I can get in and do some photographs for? It could be like the general manager or the marketing manager. So you would then put into the search bar maybe hospitality or hotel, and then you would filter by general manager or marketing manager, and then in a particular area, because that would effectively give you the search of the world. So you say, all right, Paris or New York or wherever you are, and wherever your potential clients are going to be.
Yes, that will make sense. And I think as well, you step outside. Don't just focus on your niche, because there are other areas. So people, for example, that maybe have a studio and just do headshots could actually go into doing product photography and doing things like that, really, couldn't they? So these companies that are not opening at the minute, small independents that might be jewelers or things like that, they could actually approach them and offer to do some product photography and do some marketing around that and create flyers for them that would then have your brand on there.
Certainly, because I think, funny enough, I was talking to I got a parcel delivery yesterday from Royal Mail, and the woman said they're up about 30% on their parcel deliveries. It's just mail's going down, but the parcel deliveries has gone right up because people aren't venturing outside to use shops, so people are making more online purchases. So in the world of e-commerce at the moment, e-commerce is one, certain parts of e-commerce is one of the industries that is seeing a big uptrend and a big lift up. And probably even more so as more shops, have to close the doors. The shops, because I think places like Costa and McDonald's and stuff have closed their doors today. So it won't be long before maybe bigger shops other than food and pharmacies have to close the doors. If that's the way they go. But people are trying to sell online. People are trying to sell their products now, put more heavily on their website and through their social media, because that's what's going to sort of keep them afloat. Instantly, I saw just seeing how other businesses are utilizing and adapting. One big, huge sort of like hotel food place, close me up here in Northumberland. They do like ridiculous. They'll probably do 450 covers on a Mother's Day. Obviously, the Prime Minister announced that everyone was shut in. So that was it. There's going to be nobody having meals on Mother's Day. So a lot of other places were doing takeaway meals. What this guy did is he'd obviously got all these meats in for the Mother's Day, which you do, because I used to have a pub. You're normally on it, get it about 3 or 4 days before the weekend. So he started dividing them all up and created meat packs and sold them as pre-wrapped meat packs with you know, a lump of beef or a lump of pork, because you've got all these joints to roast off to cook for Mother's Day. But he thought of a different way, and he'd put a post on by 3 o'clock in the afternoon saying nobody else asked for any meat packs, were sold out. So, you know, as opposed to all that meat going to waste or going in the freezer, he got instant cash flow into his business to at least pay for his meat bill and maybe a little bit else as well, you know. So I think you've got to adapt.
Yeah, it is. That's the thing. Just thinking outside the box on what you can do to help everyone else. Yeah, really. And how you can utilise that to feed the community, really. And I
think the other thing as well is surrounding yourself with positive people. I mean, I know you've got your Facebook group and your members group, and I think it's fantastic. You know, the people, you know, other female photographers could come in to Rise and get some inspiration. And because I think photography, and obviously I've been a photographer myself since 2004, it can be very lonely. Obviously, I had a business partner, and we had more we had 4 or 5 photographers within the company as the company progressed. But you know, for a lot of photographers, it's a one-man band, and when you're just faced with negativity in a lot of groups, and a lot of sort of very unprofessional groups, and a lot of negativity on places like Facebook, it's nice to have that fallback of a group or somewhere where you can talk sense with people, and you can move away from the doom and gloom and share decent ideas, do a bit of brainstorming with other people who are not just going to give up and say, oh well, that's it, I'm finished. People are saying, right, come on, I'm going to get out of this, I'm going to find a way forward. Because I remember back in 2008 when we had the stock market crash, and I could have given up when all the weddings started dropping off. I don't know if you had the same experience, you know, but we changed everything. We changed our packages. We opened a second business up, which was probably one of the worst times you could open a second business up, but we opened up the boudoir business and put our channels into that. And we managed to get through the other side. And then when we got through the other side, we noticed, you know, by 2009, 2010, there was a lot less competitors in the wedding industry as there had been 18 months before. So it completely streamlined and changed the whole industry, you know. But we could have been finished, we could have been seen off if we just stuck to that particular route and just says, oh, that's it, we're not going to change, you know. So you've got to adapt and got to be quite versatile.
Definitely, absolutely. Another idea that's just sprung to my mind on helping others would be something like, because we're all looking for ideas on how to do different things and approach different people. And this could work in all genres. So it might be that if you focus maybe on nurseries, that you try and put out there to possibly recommend a nursery that you would like to donate a photo shoot to. You know, so when this is all over, you know, you get goodwill going and people recommending people and talking about different nurseries, but kind of put out there what you can also offer and get chat around that way in your marketing. And that could be for weddings, it could be the same for approaching the venue, you know, which is your favourite venue, list below, and we'll go out and give them a complimentary photo shoot when all this is over. So just getting things like that and thinking outside the box is a great marketing thing as well, really.
I think another one for portraits as well, and obviously this would depend on exactly where you are in the world geographically. Obviously, where I am, I'm in the middle of nowhere in Northumberland, so this wouldn't be too much of a problem. But you could run a competition on your Facebook page to say, give away 20 portrait vouchers for outside portraits. So with families, or you could do it as a pet thing as well with pets, you know, where you're giving away the vouchers for free in a competition. So when people win something, they feel very compelled to use it when they've won something. So if you won like a pet voucher worth £100 in a competition, oh, I've won this voucher, fantastic, you know, and you're not trying to sell this to somebody, you've given it, they've won it. But then say, for instance, your pet sitting fee is £50 and then your product start at 200, you know, for the person to fully utilize the voucher, they're probably going to have to spend a bit more. And then you've also got that emotional connection to the images, you know, because they're going to love the pet. They're probably going to love the images anyway. So you're not forcing people into a sale, but you're using that emotional aspect to drive the sale forward. And I always found that with the portrait studio, you know, we would always keep the setting fee down to make that barrier of entry for the client very easy, and then allow their interest and emotional connection to the products and services to drive the sale forward.
Yeah, there's definitely so many things that you could do. It's just thinking outside the box. And actually, anyone watching this back, if they've got, or watching it live, if they've got any ideas that they'd want to share and help everyone else out, then we are all in the same boat. Share your ideas and, you know, see what we can all do together, really. Again, it's that just getting that community feel, isn't it? And working with your own peers.
It is, definitely. And I mean, I've just put I mentioned this on my live last week. I've just put it together a great little PDF on creating a photography brand business plan. And it's a free PDF. So if anybody wants that PDF, just drop it in the comments. Jeff, send us a copy of the PDF and I can whack you over PDF in the next 24 hours. And it's going to give you something to think about, and you can start looking at your brand. Because I noticed the other day in a couple of photography groups, people talking about brand, and maybe this is a good time to rebrand, because sometimes your business is running at full steam. You don't have a chance to do the other stuff. You don't have a chance to sit down and relook at your logo and your branding and your wording and stuff. And now it's going to give you time to do it. And if you're going to do it right. You know, create a premium brand that oozes top end, you know, because if people can see that your brand looks premium, then they're more likely to be able to believe there's value in the brand, so they're more likely to pay that higher price. You know, people aren't going to pay a higher price if something doesn't look expensive. It's because if you charge them more money but you don't look premium, you're just going to look like a ripoff. You're going to look overpriced. But if you look really high end and premium, and then you've got a premium price to go with it, then people start to believe the value in that price that you're trying to charge. So it might be a good time to think, right, I'm going to start really overhauling my business and looking at the brand element. So when I get out of this the other side, I've gone from being, you know, the standard run-of-the-mill photographer to being a more premier photographer. And I think that's something that a lot of photographers forget is, you know, when you go in at the bottom end, or you go in at the low to mid range, the competition is huge. Because
yeah, definitely.
So many other photographers. When you move away into the premium element of photography, yes, there might be a lot less customers, or a percentage less customers, but the other good thing is the relationship between you and other photographers is so much less. You know, you might only have like 10 competitors, where at the bottom end you might have 1,000 competitors. And the other good thing is the customers you're working with are the nice ones, the ones we like to work with, not the freebie hunters, or the ones with 20 Groupon vouchers in the purse because they want everything for nothing, you know.
Yeah, and I think people have got to remember that as well with their brands, haven't they? When you are rebranding and you're moving up a level in your photography, you've got to remember that your brand isn't just your logo or your website. Your brand is absolutely everything that you stand for. So how you are yourself with your customers, the message that you put out to your customers and everyone around you, down to how you dress, how you know, everything that you would want a client to perceive, that is your brand. It isn't just a logo, as what quite a few people think, really, isn't it? They think, oh yeah, I've got a great brand because I have a good logo, but it goes far beyond that, and the psychology behind a brand.
Yeah, I mean, I think I remember reading this thing. Obviously, like, your brand is everything you want your clients to think, feel, and believe about you. But if you don't create a brand to get them to think, feel, and believe something, then unfortunately they will then form their own opinions on what you've put out there. So and I've said this loads of times before with other photographers. You know, if you have an inquiry, if you get an inquiry through on LinkedIn and you whack somebody over a crappy Word document price list with a little bit of clip art on, you might be the best photographer in the world, but you have just devalued yourself because of what you sent through. That doesn't look premium, that doesn't look attractive, because people will start forming opinions about you and your level of where you are in your worth from the first bit of interaction they have. So you can't think, oh, I'll just get away with sending this over. You've got to. And I've had so many people come to me and say, oh, Jeff, I thought your program would be so much more expensive. So why? Well, all the stuff you send through, you know, all these lovely brochures, because I'm elevating their opinion. And it's better to elevate it to a level and then say, oh no, it's only this price. And they're like, oh, that's cool, you know. Yeah,
definitely. It's something worth looking at, and you've got to believe in your own brand. That's primary, isn't it? If you don't believe in what you're doing and what you're selling and who you are and the image you're portraying, how do you expect your customers to do the same? So maybe the foremost thing to do in all of this downtime that you're going to have is really consider your brand and moving forward, and then reach out to your community, and then, because you're reaching out with your new trusted brand then, aren't you, really?
That's right. And that's right. And if any photographers are struggling with the brand, or they need a bit of help with the brand, or they've got a few ideas, I'd be more than happy if somebody wanted to drop me a message, and I know you would be as well. Drop us a message on Facebook or LinkedIn and just say, hi Jeff, or hi Karen, what do you think of this? How does this, because both of us have a lot of vast experience of dealing with loads of other photographers, so we can give you, because sometimes you create your own brand and you can't see the wood for the trees sort of thing. So it's nice to get somebody else to give an opinion. And obviously we'll do this for nothing. We'll just help people out. If they want to drop us a question or a message, then that's great. The more we can do, the better to help other people within the community.
I think as well, one of those things that nobody ever looks at is you look at your website and you put new images on there, or you might do a new blog, but how often do we go and check all our external links on our websites? Just something really easy that everyone can be doing now is going to your website. Do your external links work? Well, if they're not working, then your brand's straight there, straight away. So you're not bothered. So one of your really simple things you could all be doing now is check your website, check all your pages. Is it all up to date? Do all your links work? All your images current and fresh? So all of those.
If you've still got your current Christmas portrait price list on there, it doesn't look very good, does it?
Yeah, exactly. So there's all those little things that people at the minute, they're all sat there wondering the same thing. What can we do? Well, there's so many small things that you can do that are going to make a really big difference when we're all back and running full steam again.
Fantastic. So how can people sort of join with you in Rise, and how can they get to, if there's any female photographers? Is it just purely females only, or are guys allowed to?
Yeah, I get this a lot, and it is, as the membership, it is females only that can join. We do have an open Facebook page where anyone can go on and have a look at that page. They can comment, they can join in. So male or female on that, that's fine. But as of the membership, that is female only. And that is, our website is rise-pfp for professional female photographers.com. So rise-pfp.com. And I was due, as you know, to be at the photography show a couple of weeks ago, and sadly that had to be postponed. That is going to be in September. But I had a show offer there, which, some of you viewers watching this might want to take advantage of. It does actually give you 3 months free, so you're not going to be, well, you have to join for £1, but you get 3 months free, and that's up until the end of March. So come along, have a look at our resources that we've got, get the help, be part of the community. We have a members Facebook page as well. But not only that, I did join forces with the British Institute of Professional Photography for this offer, and they're also, if you join, giving 3 months free. So that's 2 organisations that you can actually be part of a community. But with Rise, there's a beautiful group that we've got. It's growing daily. The vibe is lovely. We're all sharing, caring, we're looking after each other. There's lots of support on there. We've got people like you, Jeff, as ambassadors that are just a tremendous support, and without that we couldn't, as Rise, carry on. It is, we do rely on our ambassadors, and I want to say thank you for everything that you do for Rise. But the ambassadors and trade support really give a lot of content to Rise that is valuable to your business.
And I mean, now is, if you're going to get 3 months for £1, now's the best chance to join, isn't it? It's going to give you some direction. You're going to have some support. You're going to have others to bounce ideas off, and this is the time when you need to sort of like stop twiddling your thumbs and get moving forward. So no better time to join Rise now, and obviously you get that membership with the VIPP as well, which is fantastic, all for £1. So Brilliant.
And what have we got to lose?
Yeah.
It's a bit of a no-brainer, really, isn't it? And, you know, we welcome everyone with open arms. But it is, as you said earlier, the Rise membership is for female photographers. And
so I can do those Monty Pythons and put a wig on.
Yeah, put a wig on.
Like when the women have got beards, yeah.
Do you know what, Jeff? It's one of those that people say, why is it females only? And why can men not join in? And they absolutely can on our open Facebook page. Yeah. And a lot of people have asked, you know, if you're female only, why do you have male ambassadors like yourself? Well, we're inspired, like everyone else is, by all walks of life and sex, and you know, you're inspiring to everyone, and we embrace that. So it's not though we're saying no men allowed at all. You know, everyone's inspired, aren't they?
Yeah, and I think to be fair, from the female point of view, you know, I've been in the industry for sort of myself since 2004 as a professional photographer, and then 10 years in the Royal Navy as a Navy photographer. And the industry, both in the forces and outside, was very, very male dominated, quite chauvinistic as well. And I think it's about time that women had their own place within the industry. And I think that's a fantastic thing that's happened for female photographers, because the industry was 10, 20 years behind modern times. It needed a bit of a kick up the backside.
Yeah, and it's still very dominated, and you know, people winning competitions, the photographers winning and videographers were winning those competitions are primarily men. 85% of magazine covers are shot by men. And actually, I just want to embrace the female creatives out there to say, you know, you are good enough. Your work is amazing, you're amazing, and actually just get yourself out there. And I think with females, a lot of it is confidence and having that support network. Because as we said earlier, we work on our own, and to have that support network is huge, really. And that I often think that's what drives us. So yeah, that's why I did do it for females only.
Brilliant. We'll get a link in the comment section as well. And we'll put it in a couple of times so people can see that, and then they can just click on the link and go through to the Rise website.
Perfect. And I think what I'll do as well, Jeff, is I'll get a PDF together, branded PDF, done in the right way, that just kind of recaps everything that we spoke about here, so we can add that into the group as well.
Fantastic. Brilliant. And maybe do one of these again next week if you fancy. We could look at doing something else and doing a bit of and just keeping the motivation going and keeping the brainstorming going for photographers. And if anybody's got any questions that they'd like us to cover in the next live, then drop them into the comments, and we can come back with a personal answer.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Jeff.
I'll get back to me home schooling and feeding me 12-year-old daughter who doesn't stop eating.
Yeah, get another cup of tea and keep going.
Yeah. Well, thanks again, Karen. And thanks everybody who's watching. And we'll speak to you again soon.
Speak to you soon. Bye.
Take care. Bye now.